and welcome to the Sports Doyen with me, Kushagr, and we have today with us Anuraag and Prathamesh. We are here to look at the group stages of the Indian Premier League, the season 2020. The Premier League has been fantastic. I think Anuraag and Prathamesh, I won't be wrong in saying that this has been one of the closest group stages in IPL history. We see if you do remove Mumbai, you've been the outstanding team of the tournament. If you look at it with perspective from the team that has finished second to the team that has finished eighth, there are just two victories between them. One match here and there. Those 2 centimeters, if Kings 11 get that six instead of a four, we don't know what the scenario is. If
And if
Rajasthan
Jordan
Royals,
had a little sense.
yes, if Jordan had a little sense, if Rajasthan Royals, get one run chase through out of the three that they missed out on, the table is different. If Chennai had managed to eke out one victory, one of those run chases in which they kept on falling short earlier in the tournament could have been different.
Absolutely.
Pratmesh and Anurag, to the both of you, just a quick 10 seconds on each of you, just how magnificent this group stage has been and how happy you are that the Indian Premier League, at least fundamentally, gives every team a chance to win, which is so heartening to see. You don't see it across any league in the world in any sport. I'll start with you, Anurag, and come to you, Pratmesh.
Yeah, I think that's the one thing that I really like about the Indian Premier League. Irrelevant of teams coming from a smaller city or an urban city, or irrelevant of who the owners are, everyone is at the same level. And if you might have in the budget, you might pick some good players, but eventually it is all a same budget everyone has. So it's down to individual smartness. So yeah, and on that note, it's been magnificent. And just one quick point that I wanted to add: this is the first season where all the teams have had minimum 6 wins, and also this is the first time that only two teams have finished with a positive net run.
Positive
That's
numbers.
incredibly surprising. I think even the 12 points thing is fine, but just two teams with positive net run rate, I think that's incredibly surprising for me.
Yeah, and Pratmesh, just carrying on with what Anurag said, every team had minimum six victories. It's something that's astounding. In a manner of speaking, no team administration apart from probably Chennai, because their form tailed off massively at the start of the tournament. Apart from Chennai, no one can really truly be disappointed because everyone was with a chance, with a chance. Sorry, up until the very very last match.
Yeah, you could say it other way around as well. That they could be disappointed. They were just like an inch away from sealing the playoff place. But yeah, whenever you
Yeah,
you, you talk about Premier League, and it just reminds you of it's anybody's game on any day, whether it be the Indian or the English version of it. But yeah, I think all kudos to all the teams who actually took part. I think you could see that Mumbai were a little further away from the other teams in terms of progress, but I think all the other teams made it pretty sure that it was a very tough competition for all the teams. And talking about taking lead from 6 points ahead, Mumbai yesterday lost by 10 wickets, so that shows the competitiveness in the league. That shows how good the league is. It shows that there are players who stand up at the right moments, and there are unexpected players rather who stand up at the right moments, which is the beauty of the league.
And just a quick point to add, I think this was one of the most important IPLs of all time with the pandemic going, with
Yeah.
people being so depressed with just staying at home, bored, and so many problems to face. As Harsha Bhogle so beautifully put it, IPL might not, bring a cure to the pandemic, but it'll bring a smile on people's faces. And I think
Yeah.
it did very well. So kudos to that.
yeah. I think for that we have to be really grateful to the BCCI and of
Yeah,
course the IPL management team and
everyone part of
and
it. Yeah,
and the most important aspect of the IPL, the players themselves.
yeah.
I feel that they've put on an incredible show. There is, without doubt, this is the best cricket tournament in the world in terms of competitiveness and in terms of quality of cricket. And we've not been let down in that sense. Whether they were low scoring matches, whether they were high scoring matches, we've seen them all. We've seen crazy chases, we've seen insane collapses, we've seen two super overs. I mean, never in the history of cricket has that ever happened, and we've seen matches that shouldn't have been close, be extremely close. So, and then as Pratmesh said, we had that incredible performance by Sunrisers, albeit versus a second string Mumbai squad. I don't think that was a fair representation of the MI squad there. But still, victory is a victory, and I think SRH going to into the final four as the second favorites for me in the sense because they've beaten the top three, all of them back to back.
And if they have to win it, they have to beat this all three again.
All three again. So it's going to be a tough task, but I guess
Yeah,
you don't end up winning major tournaments without tough matchups. And
absolutely. Yeah.
talking about winning major tournaments, a team we'll now finally get started with our review here. A team that has in the past been very very accustomed to winning major tournaments. A team that has been known as the champions of the domestic T20 championships, and of course they also have a CL T20 title under their belts as well. And I'm talking about CSK, the most popular team, IPL team in the country. I'll come to you, Anurag, with this. How did you see the Chennai Super Kings evolve during this IPL? And I know we've spoken a lot in terms of doom and gloom about the Chennai Super Kings, but
Yep.
do you feel that eventually and systematically we've seen some light at the end of the tunnel for them?
I hope so, because I think one statement which MS Dhoni gave in the mid season, which was he didn't see a lot of spark in the youngsters. I mean, see, he said that in a very different context. People took it out like quite differently, and they went all out on him. Like, what spark do you see in Kedar Jadhav? And yeah. It sort of makes sense, but it sort of doesn't. He said it in a different context, and people took it differently. It's another way of seeing at it. But again, that's CSK for you. They've made some choices which are questionable at the start, and those choices didn't work in MSD's favor. MSD is a person who makes questionable choices and makes them work. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. Like, it didn't happen at all in the first half of this season. And after they were officially knocked out, there was some momentum coming in. Obviously, there is no pressure. Once they lost that eighth game, it was quite obvious they were not in contention. And after that, they won 3 games in a row or something,
Yeah.
and Ruturaj Gaikwad coming in and playing well, that turned out to be good. Faf Duplessis, again, a lot of people are telling he had a great tournament, but even he was like the only person who was chipping in with some runs. So basically, the very reason why I said Chennai Super Kings won't qualify in the preview video at the start of the season was this very reason. They did not have the batting, and you cannot depend on as talented as Ambati Rayudu is, as talented as the others are. I think that was not a batting lineup that had the metal in them to go all the way, and that's what happened. They fell short of runs on God knows how many occasions.
Yeah, and one would be hard pressed to disagree with that. I think they also missed Raina and Harbhajan a lot, don't you
Very
think?
much. Yeah, I think they did. And yeah, again, it comes back to see. I think the bowling wasn't that bad, honestly. They were. I think they still could have done a good job. They still had a decent resources there, but I think it was the batting lineup that is more culpable this time. And yeah, I think Raina's presence could have been a lot more pivotal, and I think they would have won that one game, which could have proved to be
Yeah,
so decisive. I think,
so vital.
yeah, so vital. Yeah, that could have been so
Uh,
different again. If you one game that I can remember, they lost to Sunrisers by 8 runs. They didn't get runs in the middle overs. In the end, they had like 35 run to get in 11 deliveries. That was when Bhuvaneshwar Kumar got injured and was eventually ruled out of
yeah,
the tournament. At that point, Khalil came in, and if they did not take on him properly, and had they taken on him properly last over, Abdul Samad was bowling. If Abdul Samad had like 20 runs to defend, I think he would have been under serious pressure. He had 28 runs to defend, so I think he eventually just got the job done. But God knows where that could have gone.
yeah. And we'll move on. We'll move
Yeah,
on from Chennai. So from the yellow of Chennai, we move to the pink of Jaipur, and we come to the Rajasthan Royals, a team which frankly boasts some of the most exciting talent in world cricket. You have probably one of the best out and out fast bowlers in the world. You have one of the best out and out batsmen in the world. You have definitely the best all rounders in the world, and in Butler, you probably have the most explosive wicketkeeper batsman in the world.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you've got so many fantastic pieces of the puzzle, Prathamesh, why is their puzzle always in the shape of a doodoo?
You look at the four foreign players you just mentioned, right? They probably are the best four pick of foreign players you could have in the entire IPL season this time. I
truly.
think
Yeah,
beyond the individual capacity of the players, it is, I think, they majorly mismatched what their intent was in the tournament with the bat. I think you saw Steve Smith early on in the tournament play some very rash shots and some very poor innings, that you don't associate with Steve Smith. Rather, Sanju Samson started the season off well, then had a tee off. I mean, he didn't play well at all. Then one game he plays well against Mumbai, and then again you lose that. Stokes came in in the later half of the IPL. Butler didn't really live up to the expectations. I think Riyan Parag and Tewatia did pretty well to pull off a couple of games here and there. And Jofra Archer is probably the only one bowler in that entire lineup that you look forward to, and you see that you might not be able to score a lot of him, and you might also give him a few wickets. So I think where Rajasthan actually went wrong was their strength. They didn't use their strength of batting really well. They were never sure about their opening batting until probably the last 2 or 3 games. I think after that Mumbai game, they got pretty settled in what they wanted to do with the batting, but it was pretty late. So I think that is one of the reasons why they really couldn't live up to the expectations. And also with Stokes, I think with Stokes you have a major impact with the ball as well, even when he even though he came late, which didn't happen this IPL, which is probably what they expected. So I think those are the reasons why Rajasthan didn't do well. But good to see Samson play better innings. I think he was playing very rash at the start of tournament, and then he
Yeah.
started to understand that there is more to cricket than just to hit the ball out of the park. And then probably I think playing with Stokes also helped, and playing with Smith also helped in a way, which was shown. So for Indian cricket, it was good to see Samson play well, and Tewati is probably the find of the tournament in a way where how he has matured from his time at DC to now, what a good player he looks to be in the future.
Yeah, and Tewatia, of course, is one of the major gainers, I guess, from this tournament. His profile publicly, his profile over the country is just boomed, and with the Tewatia ji ke chhakke, the, the
Yeah,
the
he did
famous
a
the famous
Tewatia basically.
yeah, he did
Yeah,
a Tewate, and you don't really have much to say about that because I feel that this is akin to like buying the best cars yet having the worst performance, and this keeps on happening with Rajasthan.
Their
I don't
engine
know.
kicked on very late. I think Ben Stokes kicked on very, very late in the
Yeah,
tournament.
I think they Prathamesh, they missed Ben Stokes as well. I think all
Yep.
throughout the first half of the tournament they were really unlucky in that sense. But as Pratmesh quite rightly said, you put it, I think they left it very late. Following that color trend here, we are here to the purple men in purple. I guess you call them the men in purple and gold.
yeah,
Purple or Gujit Gore. Unfortunately, even though they won a few games, they won a few substantial number of games. Once again, Anurag, the net run rate came to bite them on the backside. Happened last year, has happened again. SRH are the same thing is the
Yeah.
same opponents that are pipping them again. Gaurav Kapoor came out and said they are the Arsenal of the Indian Premier League, and I don't know. I don't know. I find that a little tough because Arsenal are renowned for getting the fourth
Fourth
spot. I don't
position.
think
Yeah.
they are the Arsenal of the Indian Premier
Yeah.
League. I think they'll be fifth. I don't know who is fifth, who's renowned to be fifth. I don't know.
Spurs. They're the Spurs right now.
Yeah, are they the
yeah. There's
Spurs?
Spurs.
Are they the Spurs? Are they the New United? Or are they the New Blues or Leicester? I'm not entirely sure where you can take it, but you take it on. How did Shah Rukh's team do for you, Anurag?
Just the way Shah Rukh's films happen, a bit too dramatic unnecessarily. And I think, uh,
We are
again,
getting we are getting a massive bust from Kolkata and Mumbai after this.
I love Shah Rukh Khan again. Not to make any mistake, but see, I think the team was dependent heavily in the last couple of years on which players, Andre Russell and Sunil Narayan, to get the runs, to get the wickets. Uh, Sunil Narayan, once he got exposed of with that short delivery, I think that was pretty much the end of his batting career this season.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I think his batting career anyway was a little bit
short-lived.
questionable.
Is
It
anyways very
shouldn't have
short.
been a batting career anyway.
Yeah, but Gambhir made it work. I think kudos to
Yeah,
that. He made it work for a long time. So the kudos to that again. But I think the biggest reason why KKR really did as bad as they did, I think it's because of Andre Russell not being the
yeah,
Andre Russell or not doing the Andre Russell. So if you remember the in the video where Abhishek Mukherjee said, in Australia last time Virat Kohli was people said Virat Kohli wasn't very good, but he was just not being Kohli, and this is
yeah.
very much in the case of Andre Russell here. And again. I think the captaincy choice came in after the ninth game. The change came in after the seventh game, which was 7 games too late. I think they should have gone with Morgan in the first place. I know after he picked up a team in already in ruins, it didn't really go well. So again, you can keep talking about a lot of things which didn't go well, and we've talked about it before also. Shubman Gill, I really don't think, I would not buy this argument that Shubman Gill was allowed to play freely. I think there was unnecessary burden on the guy to play the anchor, to play deep and everything. I think there are cricketers, I mean decent cricketers underneath him. I think that he should have been given more freedom. That I think I really hated that he wasn't given that freedom, and you could see it from his shot making. Not 1 game, not 2 games. I think that went on for 7 8 games.
Yeah,
So
I think Anurag also a team that takes almost 8 to 9 games to realize that Nitish Rana should open for you or should bat
yeah,
number three. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous, right? Isn't it?
and the worst possible usage of
Rahul
Rahul
Tripathi,
Tripathi in the entire
just an
history.
absolute
Yeah,
wastage of the match.
what a waste of.
Yeah,
I so wish Rahul Tripathi was a part of Sunrisers. Yeah, I mean, what a good opening combination.
Chennai,
Chennai,
man,
yeah, so many teams.
yeah. So
Exactly.
many teams could done well.
I
they
think
could have
it's
gotten
very
a
bad.
victory.
DC could
Yeah,
have
it's so
got him
bad.
into the Prithvi show. But anyway,
See,
anyway,
okay, that's
the
yeah,
way the way KKR picked their batting lineup was, वो बचपन में हम लोग वो पीठ पे
yeah,
मार के ऐसा नंबर देते थे.
very much. Yeah,
That is
very.
how
And
they picked the
I
entire
know,
team.
I know. Yeah, that's a very fabulous point, and that very much makes sense. And I know in the last couple of years, uh, this season KKR did the double over the Sunrisers, but we got the win when it mattered the most. And do hell with it. There is no matching Hyderabadi biryani. Oh come on, boys, you can't even be kidding. Oh please. ये लोग आके ना
Okay,
एक फर्जी प्लेस पे चल जाके खाते हैं हैदराबाद में बिरयानी एंड दे से हैदराबादी बिरयानी इज नॉनसेंस कम टू हैदराबाद ईट इन द प्रॉपर प्लेसेस देन टॉक अबाउट द बिरयानी so
okay.
whatever. Yeah, I think it was
From
disappointing
Yeah,
from
let's not
Kolkata's
even.
perspective. I think they could have gone better, but yeah, sure.
Chalo. Yes, I guess that's all you can say about that. I think it's just commiserations to you all you Kolkata fans. I think
It
I
was
think you
very
wouldn't have had
disappointing. Yeah,
you wouldn't have had that many hopes anyway. But it's still tough to go out on the net run rate as it is 2 years in a row. So I hope it's a better year next year for you guys, and I hope you guys stop tinkering with your team so much and stick with the captain for once. You're the only team in the IPL history to have consistently changed captains through mid-season. So it's quite astonishing, honestly. We move on. A team that had two different IPLs, I would say. The first half of the IPL they played a separate tournament, and the second half of the IPL they played a separate tournament as a team of a separate pedigree. Of course, there was one factor, a certain universe boss who decided that
yeah,
he's gonna play, and he's gonna be decided
absolutely.
selected to play. Just a fun fact for the both of you: it was Andre Russell who played the most in the CPL, who was a part of the winning franchise, if I'm not wrong, in the CPL as well under
Yeah.
Brendan McCullum only, and
Yeah,
who won the CPL tournament. Who was extremely impressive in that tournament. He was expected to light it up in the IPL, whereas Chris Gale and Kyron Pollard, both of them, Pollard I think only played a couple of games there, and Chris Gale didn't play at all in the
yeah,
CPL. Both of them did not do any fitness work before coming to the IPL. Both of them came to the IPL rested. Chris Gale even had that earlier scare around the coronavirus when he breached the bubble and everything else. Did not play the first 7 matches, and will come back to you, Prathamesh. Uh, I think Prathamesh, we've spoken a lot about Punjab when it was their initial half, right? When they could buy
Yeah.
a win.
Yeah.
Can you just I think the time limit that we have, we can just spend all of it on Chris Gale. So please tell me about Chris Henry Gale, the 41-year-old marvel, and just an absolute brute of a man. What a legend.
Zlatan of cricket, bro. Like,
Yeah. I mean,
Oh, Zlatan is the Gale of football. I mean,
yeah,
you could argue on that,
yeah,
but
it is,
again,
Gale's won a World Cup on his own. So two.
yeah, with Punjab, the way they played in the second half of the season, I forecasted them at that point of time to finish second. That's how good they were at a point, and it did look like they could finish second at one point. Had they not lost the last two
they had
games,
it in their hands.
they had it in their
Once
own
again,
hands.
once again, Prathamesh, that Maxwell's score that was in the
Oh.
six.
Uh, uh, yeah, I'm not allowed to bring bad language into here, but
Also,
but yeah, I
that
think
run that was not given, man. The short
The
yeah,
run.
short run.
the short run. A lot of umpiring bloopers in this IPL. That's a separate video altogether.
Yeah.
But with Punjab, yeah, I think Gale is just a different animal. It's as if, if we could have Peter Drury here, he could probably manipulate the Roma have risen from their ruins into something for Chris Gale, because that is exactly what he did. And not it's not just the runs which he scored, the way he scored them, the way he just
Yeah.
enabled the players around him when he was starting the innings to continue with their flow of batting. And then when one of those two players got out, Chris Gale just took over and just kept smashing them. And when you score 1,000 sixes in the T20 game, you are not you're not even close to being compared to any other T20 batsman.
Yeah,
He's
the
just
next highest is 600 something.
yeah,
Aaron
and
Pollard.
690. Yeah.
yeah, and it's not just sixes, right? Just the amount of runs as well. Mountain of runs that he has scored in T20
I
cricket.
think
It's
it's like
just
13,500 runs.
yeah, and the next closest Pollard by like 3,000 runs. So
Wow.
tells you a lot about Chris Gale, and I think that's all about Chris Gale. And that is what he is. He is the universe boss. However, unfortunately, he might have shown the bat in the reverse direction or in the mirrored image, but he's still the universe boss, even upside down. And
Well put. Yeah.
with Kings 11 Punjab, I felt bad for them. I genuinely felt that they were a team that deserved to go through, which probably didn't go through because of a few brain fade moments in the start of the tournament, including the three balls one run situation where they should have
Yeah.
easily won that game. And so many brain fade moments in the tournament, which had they gone the other way around for Kings 11, they could have easily ended up top two.
Second.
Yeah, they could have
Easily
easily ended up top
second.
two. So
They had at least two victories, two matches in which they grabbed losses from victories.
yeah, and my final point for Kings 11 would be, a lot of talk about KL Rahul and his strike rate was not good enough in the tournament. Probably people need to start also realizing that he was the one batsman around whom the entire team revolved for,
Yes.
for, for the duration of the tournament. So as long as he scored the amount of runs that he did, and the people around him like Puran, like Gale, like Agarwal were able to increase that strike rate, increase that run rate, I think he played a very sensational tournament. It would be stupid for people to call it Rahul had a poor tournament just because his strike rate was below 130.
I don't think, yeah, I agree with you, Prathamesh. Entirely agree with you there because I think it's incredibly unfair on actually blaming the orange cap holder here of not having a fantastic tournament when he almost scored roughly 700 runs. And I
Yeah.
agree his team didn't qualify,
He's
but
140 runs ahead of the second best, and just one shout out. I think Nicholas Puran did a fabulous job in the little
Yeah.
chances. He did a
I
good
think
job.
Mayank Agarwal and Nicholas Puran,
Puran
both
were
of
very
them
good.
had
Yeah.
great IPLs and an honorable mention to Mohammad Shami. I
Ah,
mean,
Oh,
it was
fabulous.
so heartening to see him
So
ball.
heartening.
I
Yeah.
mean,
fabulous tournament.
लाला लाला प्लीज ऐसे ही रखना लाला ऑस्ट्रेलिया जा रहे ऐसे एकदम ऐसे
Absolutely.
and and now commiserations to all Kings 11 Punjab fans. My father, who's is one, of course, commiserations to you guys because this is a really difficult IPL for you guys. I think you guys have the team with the next IPL most probably being in the UAE as well. I think Punjab again. I'd still stick my neck out. I still think Punjab should be considered as one of the front runners for the next IPL as well because if they sort out maybe one or two bowlers, I think they're
Yeah.
right there, the perfect combination, and
Earlier
they
at
should.
the start of the tournament, this is what we said. This is a team that will not perform well if they switch on that self-destruction mode, and that happened a
Yes,
few times. Yeah.
yes, that happened. So we move on to the four teams who qualified now. So yeah, as we're talking about the four teams that have qualified, the team that have qualified in fourth, and must be extremely happy considering the topsy turvy start initially that they had to the tournament. They must be really relieved that the captain has started showing some form, albeit again the same issue as with KL Rahul as we had spoken about Anurag. Not the same strike rate, not the same domination of the ball as we've come to expect from Virat Kohli. But all in all, objective achieved. They've qualified for the playoffs. How do you see them going ahead?
Yeah, one objective achieved, and that too. was achieved in a way I don't think anyone would have wanted. But see, one thing is that you have to get over the line, which they did, which they could have done by themselves. But those last 4 runs, I think that really dented their confidence. Those last 4 games. If Virat Kohli, this is a great chance for him to prove. See, as I said in the last video, this was Virat Kohli's success. This, again, he did not have a good team this time, and he did a fantastic job in the first 3 quarters, where RCB were like very, very clearly placed to finish second. In fact,
Yeah.
ideally they should have finished second, but we knew that there are some loopholes in the team, so we actually did predict they might not finish second. But no one did expect that there would come a point where KKR could have trumped RCB. There came a point where they even KKR could have trumped them if that DC game had gone in KKR's favor. But
And
that
KKR
was,
probably won by 10 more runs. It could have been different.
yeah, absolutely. I think that that really made the difference. And but I think they did what the things that I would say is their bowling attack with Chris Morris is a lot more better. And I'm looking for. I think that one game, I think they should not have played Dale Steyn. It was unnecessary, I felt, especially when the playoff line was. I think they were still fighting for a second place finish, and at that point they sort of sabotaged it with bringing in Dale Steyn. With due respect, he's my all-time favorite bowler, but not at this point. I think he was not even Horse's fit. Hey, the Isuru Udana could have been a much better fit in that particular game. And yeah, these are some minor loopholes that RCB committed. It's astonishing to me that when they had 7 wins and 3 defeats at one point, and from there they find themselves in such a precarious position. The confidence might be dented, but I really wish to see Virat Kohli improve that morale in the side, and they come up fresh and different. Abu Dhabi, different challenge. Sunrisers will pose a tough challenge, but I think RCB will be up for it. I think they should try and put everything aside and be happy with the fact that they finally got to the top four after 2016. This is the first time they did that, and they've had quite a few final placed or second final place finishes after that. Now they're having this, so I think they should be trying to capitalize on this. I hope so.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't disagree with anything there. One of the players that I really want to talk about is, of course, Devdutt Padikkal. I
Agree
think
this,
I
yeah.
think has been a revelation this season. I think
Takes a little burden of the two great men.
yes, and then I guess he's picked up the slack where they probably would have expected Aaron Finch to
Yeah.
be that main man, considering he is the Australian captain. It's a funny old tournament, IPL, for some of the people, world renowned people, especially these three Australians, Maxwell, Smith, and Finch. All three of them are flattered to deceive in the IPL season after season after season after season. Just makes me wonder how long will these franchises keep sticking with them as their marquee players. So I think that's something maybe even the Bangalore management has to look at. But beyond that, I think they're still very well placed in Washington Sundar. They are one of the best, opening bowler spinners in the IPL, at least in India, at least. And the only way is up, right? After four consecutive defeats, I think the only way is up. They have to
Yeah.
keep their head strong, and let's see how they come up against SRH. So, talking about RCB, we'll move to Virat Kohli's real hometown. So yeah, moving to the capital, moving to Delhi. Prathamesh, Delhi, when they started off in the tournament, I remember the both of us discussing that they have one of the most complete squads in the tournament. They had a mighty old wobble towards the end of the tournament. Even during their good performances, there were a couple of results which made you raise your eyebrows, right? Which made you think, oh, is this the Delhi Capitals of last year? The same team which would reach so close and get not really get over the finishing line. How do you assess their performances? How do you assess their chances in the playoffs? And what do you think overall? How must the administration be feeling?
I think what happened with Delhi Capitals essentially and why they finished second is, it was a funny old battle for that second, third, fourth place. And just like the movie Dhamal, how Javed Jafri somehow ends up staying forward while the others go back. That's exactly what happened with Delhi Capitals. The others started going back and Delhi Capitals somehow ended staying forward. So, so coming to what DC actually did very well in the tournament was they built a really good foundation in the tournament.
Yeah.
At they were probably for the
Yeah.
first 7 8 games they were the best team in the tournament, and they kept winning a lot of matches. I think it was the year after which questions started really coming out of the DC setup, and they did have a mighty old wobble, but they got over the line because of a few experienced heads, because their bowling was absolutely fantastic. And Kagiso Rabada, I mean, what a player he is. The way he has stepped up this IPL, like he has been stepping up for DC even before this. I think that's really, really good bowling from Kagiso Rabada this season. One player who really, surprised me in many ways was Akshar Patel, because I think nobody expected Akshar Patel to have such a good tournament. And with the ball, may it be in the power play, may it be in the middle overs, I think he bowled really well. He was handy with the bat when it came to, and he won I think a couple of games for DC with the bat as well.
Yeah,
Stoinis was
against
good for
CSK.
them. Yeah, Stoinis was good as well. I felt Stoinis bowled well also when it came to the final overs. I think he took that responsibility pretty well. So I think overall, you still look at the DC performance against RCB and you still feel okay. They are a very good team with Ajinkya Rahane in that particular match. They found a really solid middle order player who could actually take them through these tricky situations. So I think that victory in so many ways was key for Delhi Capitals. It just revitalized whatever hopes they had of winning the tournament. And I think they look strong now. They look absolutely strong.
All right, and I think a couple of players that we could mention there, of course, which could be a concern for the Delhi Capitals are, Shreyas Iyer started in good form. It looked like he's tailed off. His form tailed off. Is not being able to connect the ball as we know, Shreyas Iyer to do.
Yeah.
And Rishabh Pant, Anurag and Prathamesh, both of you. This really worries me. I have a lot of faith in this young man's talent. I really want him to be that explosive keeper and batsman. I absolutely love his persona, what he brings, the energy he brings to the field is infectious. But I don't know, it's just whether it is physically in terms of his own weight,
He just
or
doesn't seem fit enough.
yeah,
Yeah, he
it's
doesn't
not
seem
just
fit
about
enough.
it. It's not just about being fit enough. I think it's mentally also he's
Yeah,
being weighed down
mentally
for
also.
something.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. This is not how Rishabh Pant bats. I would rather. I remember, I used to get so irritated when he used to play these reckless shots and get out. But Anurag, I really want him to just go and but balla ghuma ke out ho jaye. I don't care. Just get out of those chains, man. Like what
I
is up?
think, yeah, I think he
What is
has.
up with these Indian youngsters, Anurag? Like
I don't
Shubman
know.
Gill, Rishabh Pant. Like these guys are breaking my heart.
Yeah, truly. I think, see, again, Shubman Gill, I don't know what happened, but Rishabh Pant had enough good batsmen ahead of him and behind him. I think that's a fabulous squad. You can give one player the leeway to just bat his heart out. And if anyone you want to give that leeway, it is Rishabh Pant. And
Strike rate of
yeah,
160
in
before the
IPL,
tournament
yeah.
started.
Yeah, again, he falls in that bunch of cricketers who were really disappointing, who I was expecting a lot from. Yeah,
Yeah.
sadly.
Moving on from Delhi Capitals, we come to Anurag's hometown team, his favorite team. So yes, we're here with the SRH super fan and the team in orange. The team that absolutely stunned everyone was counted down and out two thirds of the way into the tournament, and up until then, they were a victim. They were victims of their own
Absolutely.
foolhardiness, and they weren't selecting the same team. They weren't picking the right players. Still, do not understand how someone like Nabi did not get to play more games or any. I don't even know if he played one game,
Just one. Yeah.
just one. Yeah, I still do not get it. But okay, maybe there were some circumstances. I think whoever had that brainwave, Anurag, in the team SRH team management,
Kudos.
of dropping Bairstow, getting Riddhiman Saha up, and then putting in Jason Holder as the number 5 and number 6 batsman, and
And then new ball bowler. Yeah.
as one of the main bowlers. New ball and a death bowler. He was bowling the death last night as well. So
Yeah.
fantastic in the end. I think SRH always had the squad to get into the top 4, and you must be mightily pleased and relieved.
Yeah, again, it was one of those seasons where I think at the start, we did understand that this is a team that had a great X Factor players, not one or two, but Williamson, Warner, there's Besto, there is Nabi, there is Rashid, there is Bhuvneshwar Kumar. There are players who've individually won so many games in the past. So these were the players I was banking on if at all SRH had to go all the way. And in spite of all the injury concerns that I mean that Sunrisers had, sorry, a bit of Manchester United thing that is coming just came in. But again, I think the injury concerns, despite all of those, I think the way the team bounced back was really, really heartening. And Jason Holder, the point you were mentioning, I'll just mention one incident from yesterday's game against Mumbai Indians. Uh, a little bit of kudos to the captaincy as well there. Pollard is one person who loves to hit the ball straight. And what
Yeah.
Warner did, he put both those fielders very straight. So for Pollard, he was trying to look towards the other boundaries,
There,
towards
the,
the leg end
there was that
offside.
six that Manish Pandey,
Yeah,
pumped
which was
over, right? Yeah,
exactly, yeah.
could
And
have been out there.
could have been out there, and the umpire's call is the worst thing that happened in cricket history. I mean, we'll talk about that again. There are so many examples, not just yesterday's. But the full toss ball that he got out to, he was trying to hit on the other side. That's why he got out, and
Yeah,
that was a bad ball. That was great captaincy as well, great thinking as well. I think kudos to that. You made Pollard go the other way, play out of his strengths, and that's what Jason Holder brings. That's what having three international fantastic captains in the 11 brings. And I think only two international captains, I must say. David Warner, I won't count him there, but yeah, he's done well. But he's done well. So again, yeah, Nabi was disappointing, and see Johnny Bairstow as fantastic a
you could say
cricketer.
Anurag. You could say three captains. Rashid Khan's a captain.
Yeah, maps. Yeah, I think even that's a point that a lot of people do miss. Even I've missed it there. So
Yeah,
again,
Rashid Khan's the Afghanistan T20 captain and
captain,
one day captain.
one day captain as well. Yes, and right now. I know Johnny Bairstow is surplus to requirement, a fantastic cricketer, but he is surplus to requirement. And I've been crying out right from the outset that Johnny Bairstow, in spite of all the talent that he had, it should have been Nabi ahead of him. It should have been Nabi ahead of him. That guy, I think, this team had the potential to finish in the top two, at least with Nabi. I mean, just the way you look at the games that have panned out, they lost the game to Punjab in a way they shouldn't have lost. They lost so many games like that where they should have won. I think I can think of two or three. One against KKR, that super over. How horrible was that? Uh, these are the games that they should have won quite comfortably, and they did not. And as it happened with Kings 11 Punjab, a little bit of self destruction here and there. But I think unlike Kings 11 Punjab, they picked up form at the right time, and a bit like 2016, they enter the final four with some momentum, which is the most important thing. And among all the teams, I think that is the only team that really has good momentum. So I'm really looking forward to what is in store for Sunrisers.
Yeah, and as you spoke about the momentum, I think they've defeated all three teams that are above them or
Yeah.
around them for that matter,
And
and they need
Saha's
to.
inclusion, I think that
And
really played
Saha,
played on.
yes,
Yeah,
and yeah, I mean you cannot praise Riddhiman Saha enough. I
enough. Yeah,
think he's one of the most underrated Indian cricketers in the last 15 years.
214 runs in 4 matches. That's his
Yes,
record.
fabulous,
that's
fabulous.
unreal, and
Mm.
Pratmesh, as you know, his record in the playoffs isn't that bad either.
Yeah,
Yeah,
So,
he
yeah,
he scored 100 in the IPL
the
finals.
first
yes,
person to do so. Yeah,
yeah, unfortunately ended up on the losing side, but
Yeah.
yeah,
his performances are incredible. Talking about incredible performances, there is only one team that we can look at, and we'll come to you, Pratmesh, with that. So as I was talking, we come to a team with magnificent performances, magnificent consistency, and sheer professional approach to the game. This is the team that up until the final match had only used like what 13 players, 14 players
Yeah,
in the
14.
in the in the 13 matches, which is incredible. It just shows how settled as a team they are, how settled a core they have in the team. And Mumbai Indians, there is no surprise, I think, Pratmesh. In the last 5 to 6 years, they've been the best run franchise in the IPL. SRH is one franchise which can definitely challenge them to that accolade, but
Yeah.
their trophies and their performances speak for itself. So, how did you see Mumbai performing this season? Because I felt they were stupendous. I felt up until the last match, which honestly I feel is an aberration. I
Yeah.
felt overall they were just magnificent. At times they were unplayable.
Yeah, I think there were so many games that Mumbai dominated. They dominated Delhi Capitals recently, the second best team in the IPL. couldn't even score at 6 runs and over. So
Yeah.
tells you that one game in itself tells you a lot about how Mumbai Indians went and how then Mumbai Indians chased down that score with Ishan Kishan almost like hitting Nokia and
Nonchalantly.
Rabada. Yeah, Nokia and Rabada as if they are just two Ranji Trophy bowlers. So
Not even Ranji Trophy, dude. Like gully.
yeah. So I mean, yeah, that game in itself was about Mumbai Indians and how good they have been this season. Uh, they lost a couple of very close games. Otherwise, the story could have been even different for Mumbai. So I think fantastic performance in terms of how they balance the squad every year, how settled the lineup is every year. Fantastic in terms of also how when Rohit Sharma couldn't play, Kieran Pollard took on the reins, and tactically MI still remained the same team. They still had the same clear fundamentals, still those same ideas, which probably come from Jayawardene, from Zahir Khan. So I think that
Yeah.
there is a lot that happens behind the scenes at MI, which is as important to contributing to the result as the other training accolades. So I think Rohit Sharma in one of the Instagram live that he did before the IPL mentioned Mumbai Indians is the team that has the most uh, tactical training exercises and those tactical sessions like your conferences before the tournament because they happen almost every other day. So I think that has a huge part in how this team actually gels well together, team bonding, etc. So we saw a lot of that. We saw some wonderful performances by Ishan Kishan. We saw absolutely magnificent Surya Kumar Yadav. God knows what he's going to do now to make it to the Indian team, and fantastic calmness under pressure in front of the Indian captain in that particular game where he showed what he is all about. Quentin de Kock was fantastic opening the batting as well. He and Rohit when they were playing at the start of the tournament really set the tempo for the big scores. I think Hardik and Pollard, as usual, fantastic finishing towards the end. The way they just pulled off any ball to the boundary was just amazing. I think Pollard with a 200 strike rate in the tournament and Hardik with 175 tells a lot. Um, with Bolt and Bumrah, probably the best fast bowling combination in the tournament. Left arm, swing bowler, right arm, everything bowler rather. So we saw how good both of them are. They have a combined what 43, 44 wickets in the tournament. So that tells a lot. And
Yeah, something like that.
yeah,
And more importantly, if you see the wickets they've taken in the power play,
yeah,
it's just amazing.
the power play wickets, and also not to forget James Pattinson's impact and Rahul Chahar's 15 wickets. That tells a lot about Mumbai Indians bowling and why they have been the top team in the tournament. And I think I expect them to keep doing the same things now that Rohit is back. A big positive, a big moral boost along with what he brings with the bat. I think the only negative point of the tournament was Saurabh Tiwari, but pretty much expected that anyway.
But he's lost weight from the when the tournament
Yeah,
started.
that
It's
that
visible.
is that is his
It's visible.
individual gain. That is his individual gain, not the team gain.
I think he was decent in the first match. He didn't really get much of a chance after that. I think he played
Yeah.
1 or 2 games. Okay, I mean, I don't think Saurav Tiwari is someone that we focus on here. But
Yeah.
all in all, I felt Mumbai the worthy toppers of the league. If it was a league in a classical sense, they would have been the worthy winners as well. But as we have it, we have the playoffs here, and it's been a fantastic group stage, hasn't it, gentlemen?
Yeah, it has been.
Absolutely.
And just to remind all the viewers, whenever Mumbai has finished top, they have won. So it's pretty much omens are all right.
And also another thing to remind our viewers, Mumbai never won in an even year. So Anurag.
Records are meant to be broken. Who says they can't? And especially with the team that they've got this time and
Yeah.
the combination. I think this is the best Mumbai squad that they've ever planted together because
I
Yeah,
don't remember. I don't
them
even
being this strong, I
even when
don't think so.
Anurag even when Kolkata was that dominant. Remember 2012, 2014,
2014, yeah,
2014 especially. I
yeah.
don't think they were this good.
yeah.
No way. You can think of many teams that
I
had an
don't think
individually
Chennai were this
fabulous.
good in 10 and 11.
Yeah, it's just in terms of individual quality and just in terms
Yeah.
of how that turned out to be. And yeah, if we as we've talked about, there are plenty of teams that had decent individual quality, but this team had individual quality that turned up, and that's what made the difference.
Yeah, and more power to them. Let's hope there is going to be a fiery, fantastic clash between Mumbai and Delhi, and that both teams show up. That's a
Yeah.
close match.
Yeah,
It isn't like that Mumbai Delhi match that happened just a couple of days back.
yeah, yeah.
I hope Delhi Capitals, you guys are listening. You know, come on, guys. We need for you guys to stand up and at least try to match those guys. Whether you end up losing, that's a part and parcel of the game. But fight is that
Yeah,
all you
just a
want.
closing statement from my side. Delhi can roar macha all they want, but दुनिया तो एक मुंबई हिलाएगी.
We'll see. We'll see.
Delhi have the
Uh,
individual quality. It's just about
yeah.
turning up.
Yeah,
Let's see.
yeah,
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 nah,
that's true. Yeah,
as a,
Yeah.
as a boxing analogy, right? So Delhi packed that one punch that can
Hmm.
knock the other team out, but Mumbai are the more complete boxer, so
Yeah.
you can't keep relying on that one punch. So anyway, moving on. Thank you so much, guys, for joining me, and once again, thank you so much to our audience, and please do let us know how did you feel that the group stages went. If your favorite team did make it to the final four, what are your hopes? And if your team did not make, commiserations from our side, especially to Punjab fans, as we said, because a couple of
yeah,
teams were
that's
really
more heartful.
unlucky.
Yeah,
But yeah, a couple of teams were really unlucky. Punjab and Kolkata, namely the two of them, they were really unlucky to finish where they finished. So, all in all, thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining me here. Thoroughly enjoyed these 56 matches. Another
Four.
Four
another
matches.
four matches. So sorry, another four matches to look forward to, and four matches there, and a few matches from the women's side T20 challenge as well. So
Yeah.
let's hope for an exciting end to the tournament, and thank you so much for joining in.